Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, August 1st, 2022 City Council meeting. We'll go ahead and wait for Alderman Santi to come on up here. Slowly. Monty, please call the roll.
Alderman Santi?
Here.
Alderman Glad?
Here.
Alderman McClatchy?
Here.
Alderman Harding?
Here.
Alderman Strack?
Here.
Alderman Devine?
Here.
Alderwoman Miller?
Present.
Mayor Jett?
Here. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started on the public comment portion. This is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. So, for instance, Laura Conter.
Here, man, I had trouble hearing you in the back.
Yes. Laura Conter, are you here?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for public record.
Okay. Laura Conter, I live at 3803 West Timothy Lane. That's right here in Edgebrook Heights. I've given all the aldermen and the mayor pictures of my property. A few years ago, the block of Timothy and Clover had new water lines put in and sewer, and I'm at the low end, and it was the last two homes that were done after the winter. The first picture that you're looking at is my backyard. It goes completely under water. I have two 50-gallon water barrels, rain barrels at each end of my home to catch the water off my own home. Clover behind me is higher. Between Clover and Timothy, there is a sewer drain right there. It doesn't work. The water comes into my yard. My neighbors all direct their water, which legally they can, towards the sewer. That doesn't work. One of my neighbor has a pool and two other lines coming besides the line from the pool, and it's all underwater. Then the water comes right down the side of my house like a rapid. I had a little boat out there, and it went right into the street. And then another picture you're looking at is look at the water in the front, how high the water is at the hydrant. It's right up to the cap of the hydrant. In front of my home, where the gully is, it comes out of the gully and up towards my house again. And then the water from across the street comes over. My raised garden bed that was made out of railroad ties lifted right off the ground, smashed into my front gate from the water. I no longer can have a garden. I've lost all my plants from 23 years of working on my backyard. I had to rebuild a corner of my home because it was getting disintegrated. So they put up a cement cup around it and repaired it for me. So I'm asking you to please do something about that sewer and my water problem.
I will reach out to you tomorrow, and I'll come out and take a look at, with staff out there. Troy, if you don't mind, go out there and assess the situation.
You should come when it rains.
Well,
Wear your boots. Bring a boat. And then maybe I should get permission to have zoning so I can have rapids down the side of my house and charge for it.
I'll give you a call.
Thank you.
Laura, if you don't mind, can you please get Monty your number?
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to have a public comment regarding an item that is not on the agenda this evening? If this is regarding the annexation, I ask that you wait until that item on the agenda. Any other public comment? Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Before you get any further, I have a request of they're not hearing what's being said. They only get 20% of it.
I believe we have a guy that is gonna be working on these, right, is he gonna be coming by and taking a look at it?
We're gonna end up having to replace it.
Yeah.
The microphones are good, the system itself, in the back, it's just failing.
Okay.
We tried.
Alright. So we'll try to talk a little louder tonight, I don't know if that makes a difference. Does that make a difference? Oh, okay.
Be closer to your mics.
Alright, my belly's big, it's hard to get that close. Alright, 5A through 5D, I am looking, for any council members wanting to pull the item for separate consideration. Any items to be pulled? Alderman McClatchy?
5A, please.
Okay. Any others? I am looking for a motion to approve 5B through D. Alderman Miller?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Santi?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion on these items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Santi,
Yes.
Alderman Glab,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The item that was pulled by Alderman McClatchy was 5A, is a board and commission appointment. The appointment of Beth Staley, as Landmark Commission Chair through April 30th, 2023. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, like to do a shout out to Beth. I've known her for a long time. She has, roots in the city, probably deeper than anybody in this room. I think she's fit for the job, and I look forward to working with her and the Landmark Commission.
Thank you.
And I will move to approve.
Thank you. Have a second. Alderman Harding?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion by council? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderman Harding.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Strack.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Santi.
Yes. Thank you, council. Next item is 6A, is annexation of property. Looking for a motion to approve an ordinance annexing approximately 148.03 acres in unincorporated tracts of land in McHenry County, Illinois. Director Palarecki.
Thank you, Mayor. Section 7113 of the Illinois compiled statutes allow municipalities to annex unincorporated tracts of land containing 60 acres or less that is wholly bounded by the municipality. Staff has identified a total of 17 unincorporated tracts of land that have been wholly bound by the city's corporate limits. Staff is requesting approval of an ordinance annexing approximately 148.03 acres of unincorporated pockets of land. Notices were sent to property owners as well as a notice in the Northwest Herald. So I am here along with Cody to answer any questions. If council recalls, we were directed to do this in February of 2021. And it just took this long to get all of the plan of annexations completed and noticing. So here we are before you.
Thank you, Ross. All right, I am looking for a motion and a second for 6A. After this motion is made, then the public can go ahead and have public comments at that time, and then we'll go for roll call. Okay, just so you know the process. I'm looking for a motion and a second. Alderman Miller?
I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance annexing approximately 148.03 acres of unincorporated tracts of land in McHenry County, Illinois, but I would like to amend that by adding and waiving any fees required to go through planning and zoning.
Okay. Second. Go ahead. You have something to say?
Yeah, just for clarification, Alderman Miller, what she's talking about is a lot of these properties will have to go through planning and zoning to clean them up. And to, for instance, we have one that has a billboard sign on it, and it would be a use variation to allow that billboard sign to remain there. Those staff feels that we should allow that to remain there. So the nonconformities have to go through the planning and zoning process. We don't feel that it's right to charge the $950 fee to the properties that we're annexing into the city. So that's why Alderman Miller is making that motion.
Great, thank you. Can I have a second? Alderman Strack.
I'll second.
Thank you. Open up for discussion by council. Alderman McClatchy.
Yeah, just, to clear this up, so if they come in the city, they'll have the same zoning as they have now?
No. So So that's where we have to take them through the plan and zoning. So basically, our properties that are being farmed right now, you know, will continue to be farmed, but we will have to, when our ordinance requires in the residential state zoning or the most restricted zoning, when you annex a property. So for instance, the farm property is gonna become state properties, which is a residential zone property. What we need to do is take it through planning and zoning and give it the mining or the agricultural, sorry, not mining, the agricultural, zoning to allow it to continue to be farmed. So those are properties like out on Blue Valley Road across from Patriot Estates, you know, they've been farmed forever. We don't wanna stop people from using their properties the way they're using them currently. That's not the goal of this. So in the future, when development comes in, and those do sell to a developer, then we'll go ahead and rezone them to whatever specific development it is.
So they'll keep the same zone.
Right.
They'll keep the same uses.
Same uses, right, but the zoning is different from the county to the city. So we have to give them our own zoning, that classification.
Alderman Sandy?
Just to follow up on that, it's more of a new definition, trying to follow what they're under today to keep it as same description as possible, or as close to what they have today, same use. I know, I understand same use, right? So that the citizens understand that, you know, your description may change a little bit, the use can be the same, and we're waiving that normal $950 fee to come in, and just to make that, I want to say is a descriptional change on the property. The classification. All right. I appreciate the definition and explanation, thank you.
Alderman Miller?
So you all know that I'm all about conformity and compliance. We've had that discussion numerous times. And many of these properties that we're annexing this evening are agriculturally used, but we don't have that option in the statute. We must bring them in under most restrictive, which is residential, single family, essentially. So when you look at these properties, particularly I'll use the examples of the one on Crystal Lake Blacktop across from the high school. Many of those properties are 2+ acres and they're agriculturally used and growing and doing literally agricultural work. So to restrict them to residential only without a path of correcting the zoning to the use would really be unfair of us. This is an involuntary annexation. We are bringing them in, and I feel the right thing to do, and I met with Cody out at the properties on Friday, is to make those homeowners an easy path to compliance. So let's get them through zoning, let's find out what they're using their properties for, and give them the accurate zoning that they deserve for their intended use or their current use of the property. So that's my desire, to change the motion and to give them a clear pathway to get to where they need to be without an expense. They're not voluntarily annexing. We are involuntarily annexing them. And I think it's the right thing to do.
Agreed. Any other questions? Hi, council. Go ahead.
You made a motion just now?
I did make a
Okay.
motion that's
And
been
that
seconded.
includes waiving any zoning fees?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Open up for public comment. I would ask that each person is limited to 3 minutes. I would hate to stop you in conversation or, you know, while you're speaking, so if you don't mind, try to keep it to 3 minutes. I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds. And if there's someone repeating themselves, I'd ask that you would have something else to say, or, you know, maybe have one significant other talk versus both be at one household. Okay? All right, so I'll open it up for public comment. I got Michael Bartolone. Yes, sir. Hi. Step up to the podium. Please state your name and address for public record.
Michael Bartolone, 4809 Crystal Lake Road. I'm sandwiched right in between the dentist office and the Harms Farm, in case anybody knows. What I just heard, Sue, really made me feel much better about the situation. I know a lot of these folks are, you know, very apprehensive about this whole thing, because they bought their property thinking, like me, I bought mine 36 years ago. I've been there that long. So, you know, I don't know, you know, there's nothing that the city is giving me for a tax increase or to change what I have, okay? And that's just my stance. But I'm an individual. These are very unique pieces of property on that road. So each one of these people has a different story. But I'm just hoping that the city is going to treat us as though we were individuals that purchased this property many, many years ago. And, you know, it's terrible to think that somebody's gonna take things away from you and only raise your taxes for it. That's not, to me, that's not good. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yolanda Resendez? No? Okay. Barbara Staffis, is that right? Did I butcher that? Oh, sorry. If you could, please state your name and address for public record.
My name is Barbara Stoffel, and I live at 4014 West Macomb Lake Road.
Go ahead.
And I am here to share my thoughts regarding the recent annexation of my property effective today, August 1st, 2022. Although I knew this would be inevitable, the initial notification process, I felt, was cold, insensitive, and disrespectful. The city of McHenry has every right to perform this annexation and has the law behind them. I do understand the rationale. You say we have benefited from the services the city offers. The city has also benefited from our services as well, as we shop, dine, and financially support our local schools, churches, libraries, and businesses. My property is a home on land purchased in 1950, consisting of many acres. Homes built by hand with 3 generations raised on. Family members who assisted in the building of East Campus, the outdoor theater, the grotto at St. Mary's, and countless others. Generations of law-abiding, faith-based citizens who supported the city of McHenry without being in boundaries. Members who worked in McHenry and spent their career at the medical groups and hospitals, volunteered at the fire department, and owned businesses employing local residents. Members who were veterans of World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, and volunteered countless hours for the good of the citizens of this community. It was my father who convinced Bobby Jean Peterson to donate the land to the city of McHenry to be used as a park. We've worked hard and have always paid our own way. There are better means of communication than simply sending a certified form letter, even though I understand the need from a legal standpoint. We are human beings who have invested in this community for more than 70 years and deserve to be treated better. We are not PIN numbers. Hopefully you can improve your communication skills in the future. Just because you have the power, it doesn't mean you should exercise that right with political temptation. I will say that our meeting with Cody and Ross was pleasant and informative, and I appreciate your time. Cody continues to be available for questions. In closing, I have 3 concerns. The disposal company, Flood Brothers, I contacted them for the city's instructions, and to date, I have not received from them any details, costs, instructions, nor containers. The speed limit on Macomb Lake Road is 30, and speeding is an issue, as are the semis. The majority of the traffic comes through Blake and then turns west. There's a tremendous amount of pedestrian traffic, and somebody's going to get hurt. Finally, the LED sign at Peterson Park is extremely bright, intrusive, and shines directly into my home 24/7. Prior to it changing to LED, it was on a timer and turned off at 10 p.m. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. All right, any others for public comment regarding the annexation? Sir, please step up to the podium.
It'll take me 3 minutes to get up there.
Take your time.
You know, my voice is reasonably loud. I'm a retired auctioneer of 60 years. I really don't think I need a microphone, but I'd love to offer to the council free lessons on voice production. You're terrible. You don't know how to use microphones. You don't know how to project your voice, and you do it very poorly. It is very difficult for those of us who have a minor or major hearing disability. That's a criticism I have. It's so easy to teach you how to project your voice, even without a microphone. And it's been very difficult. I've understood maybe 10% of what you have said this evening. I'm here because I object to, let me preface this a little bit. I left the People's Republic of Oak Park to come to McHenry because I didn't like the politics there. I came here to be left alone. I bought the property at 4823 West Crystal Lake Road, kitty corner from the high school. I was willing to live with high school kids. I was one at one time myself. I would just like to be left alone. Why not leave status quo? Also, the notice is very short. On reading the notice, it did not give me enough time as a businessman to talk to some of you individually, some of you members, and express a little more in detail my comments of why I don't like it. Why can't we? Well, there are approximately 5 properties. What is the big issue about annexation? What benefits are you going to pass on to me? Very few. Indeed, very few. I was sitting back there and I was looking at the wall plank there. It says, Heart of the Fox River. Please don't make it heartless on the Fox River. And in my opinion, that is a good possibility that you would do. Don't restrict us. What have we done to deserve this? What is your plan? Why not give us time to talk to you individually? Why not? Why not get your feelings? We can't do it in a public forum. We have 3 minutes. Hell, it took me almost that long to get up here. Please reconsider and hold off and give us time. Very simple thing for you to do. Please. And my offer for diction control always is free. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others that would like to speak?
Yes.
A bad time with my memory. I'm trying to remember everything. My name is Kathy Sanchez. I live at 1806 North Riverside.
My name is Kathleen Morris. I also live at 1806 North Riverside Drive in McHenry, Illinois.
What it amounts to is they want to annex on our property, and I just don't see the sense in it. There's no good for us. All it's going to do is cost us more money. I don't care if I'm in the city of McHenry, or the township of McHenry. I have police, I have fire, I have all the people that I need that can take care of us. Why do I want to pay extra money? Last time this came up, I said to him, what are you going to give to us? You know, usually if I go to the grocery store and buy groceries, I pay for the money. Okay, if I'm paying for the money, you're going to give me some? Sidewalk? Something? Absolutely not. Just like all the rest of you are silent, they were the last couple times that we've been here. How do you explain, give me money, and in return, I give you nothing more than what you have now?
Yeah. My only concern is that our neighbors alongside of us, the ones that are the reason why we're here today, the one next to us was a new build. They were required to go in city. The one on the other side of us, which they're the only ones that are city along the side of the river that we are on. We have a picture of the zoning and the wards, and we are the only ones within that frame that are being singled out at this point, along Riverside Drive. Across the way, they stated to us, we did speak to them, and they said they didn't receive anything. Now, however, did they get their certified letter and did actually go pick it up? I do not know. or the people behind us, because we are not covered alongside of us as in only left and right, but we also have somebody across the street and behind us along the river. So we are not wholly and solely surrounded. We have one on one side and one on the other, and the only reason why this other side was told to be part of the zoning was because they wanted to classify one room as a specific thing, and they were told that the only way to classify that room was to go to city. So they got a special arrangement, and the city helped pay for it. However, along the river, nobody else is, but this one house, as being told. So it's very hard, as you can see, there's also, I know that during the annex, this is also the square. However, that is fully and utterly surrounded. I get that part. This part is also surrounded, but they are not included in this. So it is very frustrating when you see people being singled out and not included in this when it should be, if that was the case.
Thank you. Any others? Sir? Please step to the podium, state your name and address for public record.
My name is Mick Hodges, 4106 McCollum Lake Road, McHenry. We've lived here, my wife and I, since 1973. And when we came to McHenry, we moved to the county specifically to stay away from the city. The city at that time was way too restrictive, and I think it still is. So my first question is, will the city honor all of my rights and privileges that I now have as a member of the county? Show of hands, or just want to ponder that? Mr. Mayor, show of hands or ponder it? No response. What are you guys after? We had agricultural use, and I can't believe that you need 2.5 acres within the city of McHenry to take care of your financial necessities. Can the city manage without our property? No comment? So after 49 years, I thought that this was settled. My attorney and I went to the city in 1973 to see if we could be annexed. The city said, no, we don't want you in the city. I don't want to move into the city now unless you give me some reason. And I haven't seen any tonight or when I met with your representatives a few weeks ago. So what is the benefit to these property owners to be annexed? Bill, do you know?
We don't respond to public comment. You won't hear anyone respond to public comment.
Where do we get these answers then? Who can respond to that? Native?
Once again, public comment.
Well, my wife and I went to the county and had our zoning changed so we could get a repair shop next door to Bob Peterson's repair shop. And we got that document from the county. I'm going to ask, if nothing else, if we do get annexed, you honor this agreement that we have currently with the county. Thanks to the people in the audience for coming out tonight, and for the people in the council for being on time. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Any others? Please step up to the podium, state your name and address for public record, please.
Pam Spain, 1720 North Riverside Drive. I'm not part of this annex, but some of my neighbors are that have been up here speaking today. I feel like this is an involuntary annex, as has been mentioned, and if they get annexed, I'll be next. I also don't want to be annexed into the city of McHenry. I volunteer for the city of McHenry many times in events. I participate, but I don't need any services from the city of McHenry. It will cost us between $50 to $75K to get well and septic into our areas, which I'm sure at some point we'll get forced into doing that as well. And that's the expense for many of the neighbors that are retired on fixed incomes and not looking forward to this. So I ask that you reconsider and let us be the way that we bought our properties 25, 50 years ago. I mean, I've lived on Riverside Drive for 25 years. It's always been part of the township, but I participate in the city activities, pay taxes like everyone else, and I don't think we should be unfairly and involuntarily annexed into the city if we don't want to be.
Thank you. Next person, sir, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for public record.
Good evening, my name is Nathaniel Stubblefield, 805 North Lillian Street, the second home on Lillian. We're at 711 prior to that. It's the second time we've been the second owners of a property on Lillian Street. At 805, which we purchased 6 years ago, we became the second owners of a home that was built in the 1950s. At the time, I called the city and asked specifically this question: would we be involuntarily annexed? And I realized that the person I spoke with, whose name I don't remember, did not speak for this council. And he and I were speaking man to man, and that was his response to me. If you could answer me, I would ask the question: why is this being done involuntarily? Why didn't you come to us and say, we'd like to bring you into the city, this is the process, and we'd like to work with you? I'd like to know why that wasn't done. There's a number of ironies tonight, and I think one of them is, we all stood up and pledged allegiance to a flag and to liberty and justice for all. Yet, we're here without liberty in this matter. I don't have a whole lot else to say. We almost didn't come tonight because, why would you want to go if you knew your house was going to be burned down? Why would you want to watch that? And that's kind of what it feels like, because, we're in an area where we left the city of Chicago to come back home, to come back to McHenry, the place that my family came to when my mom retired from the Air Force. We came back to be close to her, but also to raise our children in an environment different than the city. The irony is, there's things I could do in the city that I couldn't do in the city of McHenry, so we had to look for an unincorporated agricultural property. Lo and behold, we found one on Lillian Street that, for whatever reason, was never annexed a long time ago, even though when city water and sewer came through, it was put into that house. So the other irony that I wanted to point out is, until you all vote to annex us, you don't represent us, right? But then once you do represent us, and that we have the power to potentially change what happens in this room. So while I don't want you to vote that way, I'd like to maintain my independence and maintain my status as unincorporated and zoned for agriculture. The letter we received, as other people have mentioned, made it a fait accompli. We're here to watch our house burn down, and I don't think anybody that showed up tonight appreciates that. Thanks.
Thank you. Next person that would like to make a public comment regarding annexation. Sir? Please state your name and address for public record.
My name is Peter J. Culver, and I live at 4028 McComb Lake Road, and I'm a part of this annexation. As you might guess, most of these people that came here tonight are not cheering on this takeover, or whatever you want to call it. We know it's not voluntary. You can all Google state laws. We understand we're at the mercy of what's going on here. But I just would like to say that we live in a world where there's truth and there's untruth, and there's a thin line of things may be true now, but won't necessarily be true tomorrow. For instance, when we bought our property 8 years ago, my wife and I were both retired. We were told we could have horses, chickens, and goats and whatever, and that was fine, but we didn't have plans to do that. But we understand that we can't do that, okay? So, along that same line, anything that was promised to us by the developer at a meeting we had earlier, for instance, we don't have to get on city water or city sewer. We're 160 feet from a hookup. I don't have to do the math to figure out what that would cost us, and we're retired. We're all trying to get our financial house in order. I understand that, and I understand that's why you guys are doing this thing. Better do it now before somebody else snatches this up. However, I just would like to say that one of the things when we left another city that we lived in for almost 50 years was the city codes got very militant where we lived and came walking in our backyard with a clipboard, some intern, whatever, and started writing up things like, oh, I don't like the canoe laying alongside my garage, and I don't like this and like that. That's one of the reasons why we came to McHenry, so we can live a little bit, have that kind of freedom. And I think our neighbors feel the same way. And if they didn't like the way I live or how they live, we would just go over there and let them know about it, okay? We don't need the city to come in and some code enforcement to tell us, you know, you've got a little chip paint going over on your trim of your house, whatever. And I hope this isn't what this is gonna turn into, okay? And like I said, anything that's said here by the developer or anything that's said tonight can change tomorrow, the minute we walk out that door. And I hope it doesn't. But I just would like to let everybody know that any code enforcement should be done on the street, out front of our house, on our driveway. They shouldn't be walking around our backyard. We live in a world now where everybody's got technology and got phones, and I don't want to see any city person walk around on my property and telling me what to do with my property. Okay, and I'm sure my neighbors feel the same way. All right? Finally, I just want to say, I love the people of McHenry. I'm getting along with most of them. There's a few drivers that give me a salute here and there because I don't drive especially fast, especially truck drivers are pretty brutal up here. But we like living up here. We plan on staying here as long as we can afford it. But who knows what's going to happen with this move? Our finances are really dependent on the economy and our investments, and if that goes to, downhill, so will we. We'll have to move. So,
Your time's up, sir.
okay. I want to thank everybody for your time, and I hope to see you again. We'll be paying attention. We're voters now, and we want to see how we're going to spend our money, okay? So we'll be paying attention to what goes on here from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else that'd like to make a public comment? Ma'am, please step to the podium, state your name and address for public record.
My name is Joanna Stubblefield, 805 North William Street. I guess I'm wondering, and I know you can't answer me now, but in the discussion, just curious, are we being singled out in our neighborhood? I know there are other unincorporated properties, and I haven't heard from a lot of them. So William Street, Ponca, South Street, in that area. Other comment does not have to do with this, but since I'm here, Lillian has been incredibly crazy today because of the 120 construction. I'm hoping you can look at the stoplights. Okay. They are very long. We wait for 6 minutes sometimes at the one stoplight to turn on to Chris Billy Road.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Would anyone else like to make a public comment? Okay. I'm gonna turn it back over for discussion by council. Anything staff wants to say before we move on?
I can address a couple items. Well and septic, those that are concerned we're not gonna be forcing people to hook up to city sewer and water. However, I will say that if it is available out in front of their house, as soon as their well or septic does fail, the county has jurisdiction over your septic and wells. They will not allow you to replace that if the city water runs in front of your home. So I would suggest, yes, you're gonna have to be prepared for that, but we will not force you to do it with this annexation. The other thing that I wanted to mention was the singling out. We have identified every property that is wholly surrounded and allows us to by state statute. So no one is being singled out here. The tract of land on Riverside Drive, that will be coming before council. That was a larger tract of land. It's taken us a little bit longer to get that plan of annexation done. So the rest of Riverside Drive will be annexed into the city with your approval, obviously, in the future. I think those were the two things that I had that I got in the comments. So.
Anything on Ponca?
Ponca is in the packet, yes.
Oh, no, to her question, regarding the other homes on Ponca.
They're all being annexed.
Right.
Ponca Street, Page Street.
So just so you know, it's all of Ponca.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate it. Open up discussion. Alderman McClatchy.
Yeah, Chief, just briefly, what's the difference between the resident living in the city and outside the city as far as police response?
Well, as council knows, the 911 dispatch center is owned and operated by the city of McHenry, so whether or not you're in the unincorporated pocket or in the city limits, when you dial 911, you come to us. So our dispatchers process all your 911 calls and your non-emergency calls to the dispatch center, and then we transfer them to county if it's somebody that's not in the county. So that service is provided right now free of charge to anybody that lives within our fire district. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city limits or not, we still provide that, and the dispatch center is owned and operated by the city of McHenry. It's not owned and operated by anybody else. As far as police services go, we are not the primary response to them, but most of the people that talked tonight, at one point in time, McHenry police were at that location in the last 15 years, backing up county or taking the call for service for them. So, we just did a real quick search just on the addresses that everybody gave their address, and we had quite a few. So we do go to those houses. We have a faster response time to those houses than the county would to an emergency.
Right. Do you have to wait for city officers, say you live outside the city limits, and you get a call, we're there right on, pretty fast, but do we wait for a county?
If it's an emergency call, we'll go on the county's behalf. If it's non-emergency call, or if they request us for backup, we'll still go.
Okay, thanks.
Alderman Santi. Go ahead.
Excuse me. One statement I spoke to one citizen out there earlier. Neighbors of annexed or to be annexed property are not contacted and not authorized or have to be contacted, correct, on that?
Own the property being annexed.
Only the property. So I wasn't sure about that, so that neighbors, if you're not, if your property's not a piece of property being annexed, we do not have to contact, or we do not contact the neighbors of the potential annexed properties. Nothing we say on this side of the table tonight is gonna make anybody in this audience feel any better. Nothing. I get it, okay? The only thing I can say is, right now, is that, I've been a part of this board for many years, and I've sat in, other municipality meetings. I've sat in a planning and zoning meeting with some of these people on this side of the board. We're part of planning and zoning. They spoke years ago of, I'll just say it this way, cleaning up this mess. okay? That's probably not the most polite thing to say, I apologize. But there are these pockets, and they are, I'm not saying that we're following other municipalities, but you see it around other municipalities in this county. Crystal Lake did an enormous annexation of these pockets, I want to say 2 years ago. I'm not quite sure about those dates. So, you know, these are definitely tough decisions to make, and we're sitting here and we have to make those decisions. I do appreciate everybody being here tonight. This does show that we do have citizens, potentially new citizens, that are at least comfortable and have the tenacity to come out and speak, okay? And I can only speak for myself on this, is that I believe I'm very readily available to have a discussion with people. And I have had discussions with many, not many, but some of the people in the audience tonight at some point. And, you know, in the future, I'd also love to have those, not necessarily on this topic, but other topics, that if in fact you get annexed tonight, then you definitely have a stronger voice. And, you know, I just want to say that, once again, it's just, it's a part of being in this position, okay? And, you know, there's not a very positive way of presenting it. And with all due respect, you know, I thank you very much for coming in and speaking your mind and being a part of this conversation. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Miller, go ahead.
Thank you. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Stu Miller. I'm ward number 7, which many of your properties lie within. Most of you know me from my regular life, and most of you are quickly able to find me when needed. Most recently, I met with several of our residents. I opened the conversation of this is not trying to be a painful process, but it is a process. Cody Sheriff was with me. I think we engaged in good conversation with my residents. Our intention was to make this harmonious. What can we do for you to keep the use of your property similar to what you have? Again, the action is before us this evening. As Alderman Santee just said, we have kicked this can down the hill too many times. So we are open to discussion. We do not want you to be unhappy residents of McHenry. I can't speak for the rest of my council, but for those of you who spoke with me recently or spoke with me ever, I am a solution finder, not a problem maker. So we will find a way to help you, if that can be done. So being silent and unhappy doesn't work. You have to voice your opinion. And I think the gentleman that I met with last week can probably tell the rest of you that we're willing to listen. And Cody was willing to work hard. So we're here to help you once you become city residents. And I thank you for understanding that. And thank you for being part of my work.
Thanks, Sue. Any other questions, comments by council? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah. One of the things I want to mention is the fact that there were comments made about that they supported the library, our library, and our schools and everything else. And it's not the city of McHenry's library, it's not the city of McHenry's schools, it's the entire community. Every school district, every public library district, every fire district has different boundaries. It's much larger than the city of McHenry. So the only difference is the fact that you will wind up paying, which is a very small portion, I know, of my property taxes that I pay to the city. And I get a lot more back from the city because of those taxes. You may say, because he's sitting here, he's saying that, but no. The thing is a lot of the benefits that you say you won't get any extra when we get annexed, you have had those benefits over the years, just being surrounded by the city of McHenry. Whether it's snow plowing, I mean, yes, you might be able to get out on your street, but then you have to get out throughout the rest of the neighborhood. That's the city of McHenry that's plowing those roads. There's a lot of things that have always been taken for granted, not just by you, but many people over the years, of the benefits of actually being within the city boundaries. I'm glad to see that this is happening only because of the fact that I think it's good planning to have all these properties within the city rather than these little pockets that could wind up having problems for everybody else. Not saying that you as a homeowner are causing the problem, but if you sell your property in 4 or 5 years or 2 years from now, how do you know what the next person's going to be like? You know, and that could also affect your neighbors. Now, the thing I also wanted to bring up is, this is well before I was an alderman, and you know, it's been 25 years. But I remember the time when the newspapers put the march over the river when they annexed all that property down 120 and everything else. And I remember it's a long process, that I can tell you. It's not something that the city's going to slam bang and it's done. Because I would hope that we would do the same process and have the same patience that we did at that time. The city took and listened to every single property owner, and they stepped all the processes through for everybody of what they had to go through planning and zoning for, and just make sure that's all covered, so that when you do go to planning and zoning, you know what you can and what you can't do. I'm sure there are a couple things that the city won't allow that we're in, you know. But I think those couple things that might change are so minute. Yes, I know it's a scary process for everybody, but let's face it, it's a reality of what's going to happen. If this council doesn't decide on it in a couple of years, there'll probably be another council that will eventually do it. So I know this conversation came up probably 20 years ago, city council, and at that time, that council didn't want to deal with it. Let's put it that way. I hope this council decides that we need to move forward. We need to do what's right for the entire community, and that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, discussion by council? Alderman Santi?
Just a fact here, I think Carolyn probably asked this in regards to property taxes as a whole. What's the city of McHenry percentage out of that 100%?
It's between 6 and 7%.
Okay. All right. And there's numerous branches or numerous areas or taxing bodies that are quite larger than 6%. And I get it. 6% is 6%. I get it. It's just that I just want to make sure, and I think just a little bit of a follow-up from Alderman Glab is that, yes, I'm sure you all take a good, hard look at your tax bill, and you do see those percentages, and I know the numbers. Take a good, hard look at those, okay? And just understand, you know, that, yes, it's a product of being in the city. I understand that, but yet, you know, there's definitely district, you know, taxing bodies out there that are taking a larger piece of the pie. Thank you.
Hey, Alderman Miller, go ahead.
I just want to shift gears for 30 seconds. Chief, the Lillian Street thing isn't working. Do we have any, I know this was day one of construction, but I'm sure you're aware that 31 was backed up all day. Crystal Lake Road was backed up all day. I left my house at 6:30 and I walked in the door at 5 minutes to 7. I live less than a mile away. Lillian is stopped. So do we have a plan B? And I'm not putting you on the spot, but you're the logistics guy.
We've been out trying to mitigate this problem all day long. So obviously, you know, we put out press releases, we put out notices. The actual detours and the signage are out of our control, regulated by IDOT. We've been in regular contact with them about the issues that our signs are in the wrong spot, they're not working right. We've been mitigating issues on Main Street, which then causes more issues on Lillian Street. But the truth is, Lillian Street is controlled by 2 traffic control signals, which is easier than Main Street, which is controlled told by stop signs, trying to get left-hand turn traffic back on Front Street. So for periods of time, we closed traffic with police personnel, which is not the most effective way to do it, but we did it today. Troy and I have a meeting with the traffic control contractor for IDOT on this project tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. out on the scene. So we are vigilantly working on it. We are doing our very best to control where people drive and control the types of vehicles that are allowed on certain roads, whether or not there's weight restrictions or not. But as you can imagine, with over 30,000 cars that travel down that road in the morning, it's hard to control all of them. So we're doing our very best right now.
I appreciate your efforts. Living where I do and working where I do, I was obviously watching traffic all day long, and I can only imagine that your nightmare.
We do have a standing order for the stop sign at Lillian and Sioux, so you will see officers out there making stops and writing tickets if people go for that stop sign, and we will do our very best to have in between calls for service to make sure that we're enforcing speed limits on Lillian Street too. We've got 12 days left.
Lemonade stand there?
Pardon me?
I want to set up a lemonade stand on Lillian.
I think that's a great idea. I'll be the first one there.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions, comments regarding this item? See none? Clerk, please call the roll.
All right. Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Strack.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderman Harding.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Mayor Deck.
Yes. Thank you, council. To the residents of McHenry, we want to be available. My phone number is everywhere. I always make myself available. Obviously, we're going to be going through the planning and zoning process. We'll make sure that Cody works with you one-on-one, whatever the case may be. I'm sure he wants to say something here. But, we want to work with you. We do not want to make this a difficult process like Alderman Miller said. None of us do. We want to work with you. Now you can complain to us about anything you want. I'm sure I've had complaints from some of you that we're not in the city limits, and that's okay. I never even asked where you live. But like I said, we want to work with you. We ask that this is a good partnership and a relationship. If there's any issues, please reach out to me or your ward, council member. But would you like to say something, Cody?
Yeah, I just want to add that my direct line and my email address is included in that email. So for all planning and zoning changes, you can be working with me. I'm in the process of putting together a joint application on behalf of property owners, as long as it's a simple request. If it's a little more complicated, we might have to separate it out from the joint application. But you're more than welcome to contact me, and if it's regarding any zoning changes, please direct them at me. I'd be able to help you with that.
Thank you, Cody. All right, so thank you very much. We'll be in touch with you. Sir, would you like to say something? Please step up to the
I
podium.
just had one thing.
Just step up to the podium if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. One issue that I have, that since we're all here and being so friendly to one another, there's a serious issue on Crystal Lake Road in between Dartmoor and Front Royal, as we all know probably. It's Crystal Lake Dragway, as I like to call it. And I'd like to know if there's anything that anybody's doing to alleviate what's going on that road. I mean, between the school, the police, what are we doing? I mean, it's really, like I said, I've been there like 36 years, and it's really bad. I mean, the kids,
I'll be more than happy to meet with you after the meeting if you want to.
okay, I don't like throwing rocks, and it's a real serious issue. Somebody's gonna get killed on that stretch of road. I'm serious, and somebody's gonna have to either slow these people down or do something, because it's nuts.
We can do that.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I had a moment, and I wanted, I talked to my wife about it, it doesn't. Okay, all right, thank you.
I get it, thank
I
you.
could go stand in the middle of the road.
Right, don't do that.
No, please don't.
But yes, stay after the meeting. We're gonna go into executive session. So that means everyone in this room would have to be, outside the doors here. So we go into executive session for about 15 minutes or so. Then you'll be able to come back in. And if you have questions for council members, I'm sure they'll stick around and talk to you as well afterwards. All staff members, directors can leave, besides Carolyn. So, y'all can all,
Oh, we do a motion to go in.
you can actually leave for the day. Oh, you, not you, sorry. Your name. Yeah.
I know the other one that you take over, has been really helpful.
Yeah, we've been.
It's on the agenda, sir. It's not on the agenda.
No problem. Peterson and Crowder.
All right, staff reports, any staff reports? Carolyn, Cody, Ross? Mayor's report is none. City council comments.
Can I just go get Director Hobson?
Is he here?
I believe he's still here.
Are there any people else?
No.
They all left.
No,
They're at your house.
I would not.
They're at your house waiting.
Be surprised.
So I can start before Director Hobson comes in. I sent an email to Director Hobson to request what our future looks like for the marina site and the winter storage over the winter, that building that's there now at the marina. So I think one of the things that I just wanted to make sure council had on its radar and was making a quick decision on was, what are we going to do? We've got this building now at the marina site. We don't have anything happening there at the moment. But it's the time of year that people are paying for winter storage for their boats. They're securing that space now. If we're going to allow that, if we're going to do something with that space, we need to do it right now. And then we probably need to talk about what we're doing next year as well. I mean, at this point, we have nothing signed, no agreement. We probably want to utilize capturing any revenue we can from the inside storage. If our current purveyor that's there now can facilitate it or someone else, I just think we need to capture whatever dollar we can. It's a building sitting empty at this point. I just wanted to make all of us aware and kind of get that conversation going, like, what are we telling Bill to do with that building at this point?
If I could offer up, I did speak to a couple of you, because I know that there was some serious concerns when we did this back in March or February, whenever we did it back in the spring, especially about not reaching out to the other two marinas in town, and just going with this one that was kind of the path of least resistance, and I own that, so I apologize to council for that. I did follow up with Dave Miller and Village Green Marine, as well as Mark and Mary Jo Munson, to reach out to them to see if either of them were interested in us moving forward and what that would look like. Dave did not respond and never responded. Mary Jo, I had a conversation with her, just back and forth on email conversation, talking about some of the details, how many slips, some of those things. And when I told her that it was 27, or was roughly 50 slips, I think it's 49 when you take the slips out from River Place that are available, but the city gets half the revenue. They do all the work, and we get half the revenue as a lease agreement. Once that was made, there was never another response or another comment back from Mary Jo at that point. And I have, obviously, there's been some things going on, and I haven't been able to follow up with her, but I did reach out to both those marinas and in form of due diligence to try to fulfill council's wishes at that point. I will say, and I also expressed to both of them that the current lessee is interested in continuing that lease both for winter storage and the possibility of next year. I just want to be completely upfront with all the parties that I was requesting a proposal. If we're going to do this, and we're going to get handed it was going to be a proposal with the possibility of an interview following that. We would see who was the best fit for that. Again, I haven't heard back from Mary Jo, but I'll track with our conversation. I think we are at that point feedback of what you guys would like to see, in terms of that lease, moving forward for cold storage. And as of now, there's not interest, that we're aware of on that property, aside from some other conversations that we have. There's nothing tentative that's going to happen with that. And so that brings up the question of next summer as well. And I just, trying to figure out what to bring to you so that we do right by either the current lessee or whoever assumes that lease, so that we're not in a situation that we were last year in February trying to lease boat slips, that people already have boat slips, or people that are looking for cold storage that have their boats there right now. That's what I tried. Thank you for the introduction on that and the information. And really, Sean's the one that's going to kick this off and have some conversations down the road. But that spurred me into action on a couple of those things.
Question I've got on that is, what are we doing as far as, the boat club that wanted that, those slips and use of the building? Have we contacted them again, for next spring?
We have.
I think that would have been a real big plus for us.
Yeah, the Freedom Boat Club was one that had an existing relationship with the previous lessee. The one thing that they did do is they broke the lease in that they sublet one of the buildings out there to the Freedom Boat Club. It was written into the lease that they weren't allowed to do that. That happened. We had conversations with the Freedom Boat Club a number of times, and we're ready for them to assume the slips that they had there, but not an office space. They would have to meet a client there to be able to.
Why would we not have
Because written into that lease it says no subletting of the property. So we would lease, in this current situation, we're leasing to All Marine Service, and they would have to sublease that building to Freedom Boat Club. The slips, we're all set to go. I have everything, all the emails that back up that Dylan Strait had said, yes, you can have the slips. We're happy to have you there. But in terms of a lease, there's not a sublease of the building.
Wait a minute. Whose building is it?
It's the city of McHenry.
It's the city of
Until
McHenry.
we lease it to that lessee, and then written into there.
I understand that. Could that be amended to allow that to happen?
I don't know if it's safe. Is it even safe to have an office there?
It's how we've operated for 20 years.
I'm just saying, I mean, if it could be amended to really, it's a big outfit that could really bring in some, potential out there.
Right,
I just think we ought to look into the possibility of, amending the.
Well, hold on, is there a bathroom even out there?
The bathrooms have been fully renovated by All Marine Service. They have not submitted bills yet. Under the existing lease and under the previous lease, we will pay for materials, not for labor. So they fixed water and electrical. They've had a significant investment. But they've renovated both the bathrooms in the small clubhouse as well as the main clubhouse out by the river.
But Bill, I think the question is if they were to sublet that building to Freedom, is the space that Freedom's looking to use, is there a restroom available to make it actually a sublettable space?
There is not its own bathroom.
Right. So that's I think that's why we've always probably been in this situation, is that there's not a functioning restroom to make it a serviceable building as an office.
Okay. So what do they want the building for?
What is All Marine, or was All Marine used it for?
No, Freedom.
Freedom Boat Club? Well, that was my question to them, that we just like to have somebody there to lease the boats. And I said, well, don't you make an appointment to lease a boat, so you just have your representative meet them there? You'll have an agreement to make sure your boat's in good hands, like all the other boats, all the other slip holders out there. It's the same, your boat's gonna be there, it's gonna be in good hands. And then your representative, when you're ready to lease that boat, nobody just shows up and rents that boat, is my understanding from the boat clubs. You make an appointment to have this pontoon or this ski boat, and you show up and they, like renting a car, you do that checklist, yep. But they would not move forward unless they had that office space, was what I was told.
And if we're not offering that, we have businesses now that wanna open up spaces that have one bathroom and don't meet code for ADA to have, like.
No,
And I will say, but that's an issue, so we can't.
Right.
Leave somebody else.
And whoever it is, I just, dealing in knowns, an All Marine Service, they have
they have a boat club. They were not, there was never any, they said, we are happy to have them here. It wasn't, we're not trying to kick competitors out. I have the email, so there's never any question of, they offered them the space for their boats, for Freedom Boat Club to be there, despite that they are in that same business. They've been, to me, they've done, and this is all I ever ask, and this is what I told Alderman Strack is, what I look for when I have any kind of relationship with them, they do what they say they're gonna do. And they've done that every step of the way. And there's been hiccups, there's always little hiccups, but that's what I've run into, and that's.
So basically, everything could be, retrofitted, to fit, their needs, but it'd be a large expense to them if they wanted to set that.
Yes.
In other words, we could amend the lease agreement, but then they would have to provide, the bathroom and everything else.
There's no plumbing in that building.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry?
There's
No plumbing.
no plumbing in that building.
I mean, it cost them,
Well, that's what I'm saying, so I mean, the onus would be on them, I mean.
That was a glorified shed that grew a deck to have a picnic table.
You act like you've been out there a year or two, maybe you had a boat there at one point.
Yeah.
They confirm our conversation, just confirm that we had months ago in regards to, there was discussion, with the Freedom Boat people and Michelle and Dylan or both in regards to discussing slots. Yeah, they're able to, okay.
Yeah, those were offered to them.
Yeah.
Those slips, I have the emails, those slips were offered to the Freedom Boat Club for this season.
And, well, back.
So,
Shaw's.
I don't own a boat, but I will tell you, friends of mine do, they have a slip here. I've been out there twice this summer. Both times that I visited to go out on my friend's boat, Dylan and his staff were working, putting new light fixtures in, fixing the plumbing. I mean, they were doing a lot of work out there. The 2 times I've been down there, they were down there working. So they're putting the investment in who's there now. That's not why I'm here to change who's there. My concern is we're gonna miss the boat. If we don't give them an opportunity right now to say, look, we can offer cold storage on site and give whoever's there now or whoever we give it to an opportunity, they have to do that right now. They'll miss the market if we don't, and then we just have a building sitting there empty that we didn't capture any revenue on.
Could I make a suggestion? Why don't we put this on the next agenda and Bill, you could give us all the information, gives us time to look at it before the meeting and everything else, to where we would have it.
And that was my intention, I just wanted to be able to have a quick discussion, so that if it was, no, we don't even want to move forward with this, I would like to bring forward either a cold storage lease or a cold storage and a lease for next summer, so that we can take action on it as a formal agenda item. It was more, if I'm totally out of the ballpark and this is not what council's thinking, I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling your wishes, because I don't feel like I did that as best as I could in February when we brought those.
Part of the issue is like the timing. I totally agree, Alderman Glab. I think we need to really see the map, but ultimately, I think we need to do it sooner than later, because this boat industry, like everybody's taking cold storage now.
I understand that. All I'm saying is with our next meeting, if we put it in there for a discussion, maybe not for this fall, but for spring, what we want to do with that. And that way, if we have the information, we can talk to people that we have, that know the industry, so it could be explained to us a little bit better.
That's my concern. So it's gonna come to the 15th for a discussion, then it's gonna come to the.
As an agenda item.
Right, not a discussion, right?
Right.
Right. We can't do a discussion, otherwise it's gonna push it till September.
It'll be September, and then we'll have missed that opportunity.
Right. No, that's
correct. Okay.
So, I appreciate your thoughts, Andy, but I think it has to be a total package, because I was a boat owner, thank God I'm not anymore. But when you put your boat,
Break out another album.
when you put your boat in storage, you're only halfway done. Now you have to get it de-winterized and out of storage and in the water. And you tend to make all those decisions at one swoop. Like, I give my boat to them, and I expect to get in it next June and drive up and down the river. I don't expect to have to move it, restore it, and get it somewhere else. So I think it has to be the discussion of, if we're gonna offer the opportunity for a vendor to take over that role for us, marina operator,
I think it needs to be a whole year of, you're gonna get the cold storage gig, and you can offer this many slips out, because that's part of the advertisement. You know, you bring me your boat for cold storage, it's X amount of dollars, you store it here, we dewinterize it, we plop it in the water, it's X amount of dollars. It's the sales pitch to the package. Bill and I had a lot of conversation about making sure the other marinas who are residents get an opportunity. He's done that.
Okay.
So if Michelle and Dylan say, yeah, we wanna do this, I would love to see them take the project over for the next year. Even if the developer comes in, they're not gonna be ready to rock on that property for a year.
Yeah, that's fine. So why don't we just get it on the agenda for the next meeting?
As all Marines,
Then we
take it
can
over
have a lot
for
more
1 year.
time for discussion.
No, that's
and a
what
lot
I
more
was looking for.
background.
I'll bring it forward as a yearly, so, basically, November first, which is kind of the end of this week, November first all the way through to October 31st, that'll count for
Cold storage and that, but again, at this point, we need to make sure that Dylan and Michelle are on board with being able to offer that, because I think part of the problem is we didn't fill all those slips because we were late.
Right.
I just don't want to miss the boat again.
So with this, real quick, I know we're gonna get into discussion, what about the boat storage? Like, what about insurance? I mean, once these boats go up in flames, it goes fast.
But that'll be on Dylan and Michelle, because it'll be.
All right, so that's why,
Yeah.
so there is an elite, okay, and what about, is it sprinkler?
No.
I didn't think so.
But it's cold storage.
Right, so, but it's always been,
Okay.
the use is not.
All right, that sounds, I just wanna make, I remember when Munson came in, it was, so that's why I just
And the
wanted to.
boat owner has to carry that
Yeah.
responsibility insurance.
Sure,
And
right, I just wanna make sure we're
indemnify
protected, which I figured we were.
property.
It would have been 30, it's been storage for 30 years.
Yeah.
or something like that out there.
Okay, that's fine, okay. All right, so that brings us for all
Thank
Marines.
you, thank you for the input, sorry, I'll hold on.
That was a lot, Bill, that was a lot.
Yeah. Any other city council comments?
No.
Chief's not here, I had to call Carson.
Well, I'll be all over here tomorrow if this traffic doesn't improve. I don't know what he's gonna do when bags
Nah,
are going out.
We gotta change the light. I'm gonna buy an R44
When we
Robinson
change the light.
helicopter this evening, because it might be the only way we're getting to change the light.
Bill, you got something?
Yeah, if you would, three quick updates on projects. I didn't get these in the staff report, apologize about that. The Riverwalk is nearing completion, the railing should be here in the next 2 weeks. That's the last thing we're waiting for. If you haven't been down there to see behind After the Fox, and, they really did a nice job, really happy. We have to do some concrete on the other side, but when you look at that, what it can be, I just appreciate the council's,
Bill looks great.
by,
Peering through the fence
yeah.
and on the walk, it looks great.
Yeah, all the concrete work, and even one of the people that had their patios, whale wash concrete, was all just in shambles. They took advantage of the contractor down there and have a whole new concrete patio.
Yes,
They did the brickwork that from After the Fox that was taken out to make the project happen, went in, complete to their satisfaction. It really looks nice. He's got his tables back out there. So we're a little bit behind, just for, from, we had hoped to be done. Last month, just ran into a couple issues, so that's coming along really well. I want to give you an update on that one. The splash pad is we're a month behind. We have all the equipment, all the public works installed, all the directional bore for the sewer and the water. The electric is there. I'm told that they're going to be on site next week for the actual splash pad installation. The parking lot has been excavated. The stone has been brought down. We've got all the curb work put in. The contractor will be back on site to lay the base gravel to be able to pave it. I've spoken to Curran. They're ready to go, and Curran and Pet Paving both are donating their services. They're ready to go as soon as that stone is down. So that's a splash pad update. It'll probably be 2 weeks for that install and be done with that. So a little bit behind just because some issues we ran into, more supply chain stuff and getting them. We just received the spray pad itself last week.
So Labor Day weekend, you're turning the water
I
in?
know, before that I'm hoping, but I know.
Sure, I'm going in it.
And after a little bit of the other thing I wanted to give you an update on was the Merkle Aquatic Center. After a little bit of a scare over the weekend, on a pump that we thought was going out, that was gonna maybe pull us down for the season, we're able to, had a contractor on site, tear that apart, put a new bushing in, between motor and pump. It'll be back up and running tomorrow. So that was one that we probably got a little bit noisy over the weekend. I didn't see a ton on it, but you guys might have heard something about that over the weekend. We'll be back open tomorrow. Yeah.
You said that, I saw that email, Mark.
And then the Peterson barn is waiting for a roof. They did an excellent job on the foundation. It really looks good. Use the old boards that were the floor, put that down so it still has the feel of a wood floor in there. Just waiting for the roof. I don't have an update on when that roof will happen at this moment, so I apologize about that.
Margaret, I have a question. Back to the Riverwalk, when are we looking at starting next phase?
So the hope, well, it'll come before you as a budget item, but we put money in to be able to take the plans from 80% to 100% to do all the, the dot the i's and cross the t's for the section behind the Modes. It's our understanding that all the property has been basically secured. There were some property issues that were happening. That's been taken care of at this point. So the next step this year will be to finish those plans with the hopes that we are bidding that, putting it as a budget item and bidding it for work hopefully next summer, early next summer. And that will be the section between the two bridges.
Is that all at our expense, or does the foundation have some money there?
That will be all at our expense. The foundation has about $30,000 left in there.
Need to sell more fire globes and put them all over.
We just gotta find we have a lot of interest. We gotta find a place to put them, the fire globes. I've had a couple people reach out about those. Yeah, I'll have to definitely find some spots for them. I know that you and I talked about that.
Is that it? You have a gas line, that's right.
No, there's a furnace. I'm not sure if it's electric, but there's a furnace in the building.
There's a gas line.
Sorry. Motion, second. Alderman McClatchy? Alderman Strack?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Harding?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes. On behalf of Derek, please put your chairs down.
I was just gonna say, actually, on behalf of Derek, please leave them up and leave them straight on.
No.
Make sure you put your microphones in there.
Yeah, like this, like.